Hi Nicole, welcome to Foodyoga Nutrition Talk. How you been doing today?
I'm doing very well. Thank you, Ankush. Happy to be here.
Yeah, likewise, happy to host you. So everyone, today we have Nicole with us. She has a deep passion for training and launching leaders, whether they are moms in homes, yoga professional, political leaders, and of course she has been doing yoga for quite some time now. And great thing about Nicole is, besides she herself a yogi, she also is good at training people and creating leaders out of people. So Nicole, really welcome to the talk. And I've just given a brief background, so it will be lovely to hear more about you and what has been your journey till now.
Sure. I was first introduced to yoga when I was in college. So that was back in the early 80s, and yoga for dancers. And it was just very physical, part of the practice. But I loved it and took a couple classes, other kinds of classes, and just started doing it on my own. Fast forward, graduated from college, had a desk job, wasn't doing yoga, wasn't running, dancing, training horses like I used to do. But all the injuries that I had from that active lifestyle, training horses, running, being a dancer, all caught up with me, and I was in a lot of pain. And that's when I went back to yoga, because I had pain radiating down my neck and down my leg. I couldn't, if I turned my head, I couldn't turn my head really. It was miserable. So something told me I should get back into yoga. And I stumbled upon a yoga teacher training, the Nanda yoga teacher training with Paramahansa Yogananda's teachings. Right. And it totally changed my life. And I started teaching the next day after graduating from my home. So what yoga did for me is I got so I could turn my head. I didn't have all that radiating pain. It was like wonderful, right? But what I think relates to your audience here is that the yoga postures, meditation, breathing by themselves were not enough. So even though it reduced my pain, gave me more mobility, I still had pain. And what I had to do is I had to go look at my nutrition, what I was eating, what was contributing to that. And so it was a combination of changing my diet and using herbs and essential oils that, one day I was just like, running down the stairs, it's like, oh my God, my knee didn't hurt. It's like, it's amazing. And so they work together. They're not meant to be in isolation.
You talked about nutrition, and you really said well that, both yoga and nutrition go hand in hand. And especially when it comes to any kind of physical injury recovery, even for that matter, mental stress or, those kind of issues, nutrition is very important. So, but in your personal journey, how did you decide what kind of nutrition you should take up, and did you go to a nutritionist or doctor, or how these things come up? It will be wonderful if you can share.
Yeah, so there is the idea of the yoga, a yogic diet. So the idea of a yogic diet is one that is, you're not eating a lot of preservatives or highly processed foods. You're not eating junk food. You're going for natural foods. Vegetarian. Back then, because this was like 40 years ago, back then vegetarian was sort of more, like the goal versus vegan. But that, was all kind of part of it. So I just started, gradually, because I always ate decent food, but I also ate the other stuff too, right? So that's kind of where I started. And then I did see an Ayurvedic practitioner who was able to look at me personally. I think that's real important for people to understand, is that my diet is not necessarily your diet, and vice versa. There's certain commonalities, like I said, that are the yogic lifestyle diet of non-processed foods, eating healthy, nutritious foods, etc. But so she helped pinpoint some of the things that I should avoid, such as cow dairy. which I was like, yeah, there were some other things as well, but I think for me, that was a really big one, to eliminate the dairy from my diet. And like I said, back then, there wasn't as much knowledge as we have now about the diet and so forth. So I have, because I remember when I was pregnant and had some dietary questions, and I was sent to a nutritionist, and I know nutritionists now who are really good. So, it's not the field of nutrition, but the medical nutritionist that I saw there was just kind of like, wow, you have a lot of whole grains and foods in there. You're eating a healthy diet, so it's like, okay. But I clearly needed, really a lot of it was more about what to eliminate and what to emphasize. There's, start with the basics and then have a little guidance, because, for example, I know some people, the nightshade family, tomatoes, eggplants, things like that, if they have joint issues like I do, especially if their joint issues are arthritis, it can make it worse. Those are actually foods that are good for me. So I eat those, but that's, again, kind of one of those things when you get to that point of refinement where having a little advice can help.
So when the nutritionist or the Ayurvedic practitioner suggested you those foods, did you also categorize them in like a pre-yoga or a post-yoga? Because you were practicing yoga as well. So did you categorize those foods in like what one should eat before yoga and one should eat after yoga, or how did you categorize?
I think the main thing for me was, and part of it depends on the time of day that you're going to do your yoga practice. Right. So I prefer to do it in the morning, and so and on an empty stomach. I have my Ayurvedic warm water with either lemon juice or lemon essential oil. Yeah, so having that, and then eating on an empty stomach, and then the first meal, that if I'm doing it right, is good, is to have like a green smoothie that has and I'll, depending on the season, how much time I have, a combination of fresh greens, vegetables, organic, some fruits, maybe some like chia or flax seeds, some different things like that. But then also when I'm in a hurry, I do have some like quality prepared powders I'll put in there, like maca root or, some things like that as well, depending on what I need. But so having that first meal of the morning be a green smoothie drink of, some variation, I find is really helpful. Otherwise, so it's kind of like if you're hungry and, and it's a couple hours before you're going to do your yoga practice, you want something light that your body will digest very quickly, right, and then save the meal for afterwards or later.
Right, that's rightly said. And going for a smoothie which is rich in antioxidants is really good choice of food, I'll say. Especially, so we at Sattviko also have foods which are rich in antioxidants naturally. I mean, you rightly said, without preservatives, as much natural as possible, I'll say. So yeah, like makhana is one of a product which is really rich in antioxidants, and we also recommend people that having an antioxidant rich diet after, especially you practice yoga, it helps in recovery as well. So is there any kind of tip or any kind of suggestion for people, let's say, who are taking up yoga recently, and like when you go to a gym, they suggest a lot of things when you're taking up exercise workout, and in yoga this is very much neglected. So what is your suggestion for those people who are starting up?
Start with the basics of just trying to clean up your diet and eat more nutritious dense foods, which sounds like your products are nutritionally dense. So you're not craving things because you're not getting your proper nutrients, or it's not digesting well, something like that. So start by trying to eliminate what you think are probably the worst offenders in your diet, personal diet, whether that's junk food or the red meats, the heavier meats. That's how I went from vegetarian to vegan, is I eliminated red meats first. I didn't do it all at once, and then I eliminated the chicken, and then I eliminated the fish, and dairy was a hard one when I realized that I felt better without the dairy. So start with either the ones that are easier to kind of get rid of, or like if and I'll just use dairy as the example, is one that's a real triggering food for your body. Focus on that, because you'll feel so much better, and don't be hard on yourself. Food is addictive. Sugar is addictive. I think there's an addictive quality to cheese and the dairy products. So just keep at it. I just encourage you, just because you backslid in your nutrition, keep at it, and planning ahead, having healthy, nutritious snacks around you in your home will make it easier when you're have a craving, or you're running around and don't have time to prepare something, that you have something nutritious right at hand that'll work for you.
Wonderful. So you rightly said, taking a step-by-step approach instead of going, let's say all in one time. It is very helpful. It's not easy to get rid of your favorites, especially on day one, right? Yeah. So, Nicole, that's a great advice for the audience. Also, you are in the process. I mean, you yourself develop leaders, coach leaders. So a lot of people who are into yoga, who have been practicing yoga for some time, also watches our, this talk. So what is your advice for them if they are looking to be a leader or develop the leadership qualities? So that's a question I have for you, because I understand you are from the same time. Yeah.
Yes. So one of the things I do is I'm a yoga therapist, and I do train and mentor yoga therapists, and I definitely want my yoga therapist to know the basics of nutrition, because just like myself, if somebody has, for example, joint pain or many other inflammatory issues, which are, we could go on and on about all the ones, diseases and things that are affected by that, including our mind and our mood, how we feel, is that we have to talk about diet. So if you're talking about a home, so they come to you for whatever their goals are as a yoga teacher, as a yoga therapist, but part of that, well, what are you doing at home? Question needs to come up, and how can I support you in making some changes in your diet, in your routine? That sort of thing can really move things forward. I mean, I've had clients who were like, oh no, for some reason, I was feeling so much better, and for some reason that joint pain's coming back. And I go like, well, how's your diet been? And they're like, oh. Yeah, that's what they kind of, unless you help them think about it, they're not going to have that awareness. They're not even going to realize they slid back.
Right. It's a wonderful advice. Thank you. So that's all from my side, and thank you, Nicole, for your time, and it was lovely talking to you. And I'm sure both our audiences, both the yoga practitioners who are taking up yoga, as well as people who practice, will gain a lot from your advice. Thank you, Nicole.